Okay. Goodness. I am always so weird about this channel. I think for me, I go through phases where there are times where I feel like I want privacy, and then there are times where I'm like, I miss this. Like it's just weird. But a lot has been going on, and I kind of wanted to just get on here and rant to anybody who even cares, which I don't even know if anyone will, because this channel is like so dead basically. But I recently I've done a lot of like root chakra work, and it was it was tough to do. Like I was surprised how hard it was to do because I thought that it would be like, whatever. Cuz I don't know. This is so weird to even talk about. I thought that it would be easier to connect with that. And it wasn't. It took me like a month of like daily meditation, daily practice to get to a place where I could reroute. And then I did about a week ago. And I think that what it comes down to is it's a lot of feelings of not wanting to be limited by reality, not wanting to be within the bounds, the physical bounds of life. I don't know. It sounds weird. It's very metaphysical, but if I talk about it just in terms of like basic bitch stuff, it's kind of like I have gone through one hell of a journey over the past couple years. And I would say, especially late 2024 till today, where there was a lot of like identity shift. It was a very ungrounding time. I had to do a lot of stuff. I was extremely activistic, and I wasn't focused much on the mundanity of life or on life itself. I was focused on a goal, and I was focused on what I could accomplish and what I could visibly achieve and all these different things. Um, and a lot of times to the exclusion of everything else. And this channel is one of those things that is the exclusion of everything else. I didn't feel like I could trust posting on here. I didn't feel like I could be secure enough if somebody was a bitch to me on here or something. It's like I didn't feel like I could do that type of thing. It was a very chaotic time in terms of like politics and stuff too. And it was just really hard. And I had made a decision a long time ago that I quit politics. What that means is just I don't campaign. And a lot of what I used to talk about on here was kind of political at times, but I don't know. I think you have this view sometimes as a content creator. You have this view that like you have to like cater to everything all the time. And I don't like with this channel in particular, it's very like hobby-ish, like there's no money in this. I'm literally talking to nobody right now. It's more so for me. And I think for me at this moment, it's kind of like I need to kind of get back to that, like get back to a rooted presence because I miss that kind of thing really bad. Um, and also like I just rooted myself. So it's like, I'm back. The bitch is back. And I'm just kidding. But I think that there's something to say about like reintegration of identity or reintegration after like a significant weight loss because like especially like I don't know, last year, man, it was crazy. Like it was really hard. And I don't know. It really was. But I think that there's something to like understanding that I have a huge accomplishment under my belt. And I think with that, there's an expectation of humility or there's an expectation of like, well, don't be too proud of that or don't talk about it too much or don't this or don't that. Don't don't do anything or you got to be humble or you have to this. Like, I think people have this, it's almost like an expectation that they get to control what you say about it, or they get to control what you do, or they get to control how you feel about it. And for me, it's like, I don't give a fuck. And I think especially since I did all that grounding meditations and all that stuff, it's like it kind of takes you back to the root of who you are. And I don't know. It's a very weird time for me, I guess I could say. It's very odd. And it's like, I have personal life goals. I have things that I want. And I remember when I first did YouTube like forever ago. And at its base, and what it was just, I want to do this to find myself. That was like where I started. It was like, I want to do this to find myself. I want to do this it'll give me pressure to be more extroverted. Like back when I started, it was like vlogging was big. So vlogs, daily vlogs, that kind of thing was very big. And like personal lifestyle and things like that was the trend. And I feel like I always wanted to do that, but I never got to. And on this channel, I feel like there's been a lot of things where I've documented certain moments or certain things. And I feel like as a creative project, it kind of shows a lot of aspects of things. And I don't know, it's interesting. It's like, when do we try to erase the past or do we honor it? You know what I'm saying? That's one of those questions that comes up a lot when you post personal life content. It's like, do I try to erase this or do I honor it? Was it worth it? Was it not? There's good things and bad things in my past. They're so sure of something and then moments where I wasn't or where I had confidence. There's moments, and especially throughout like a significant weight loss, it was just like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm headed. Most of the time I was blind. Most of the time I walked in faith. And I think a lot of people don't understand that because I have such a confidence at times. And I especially did like after 2024, like I really did have a confidence, but it's like a blind confidence or like blind, basically living on faith, because it was like this ability to just be like, well, this is what the material world is telling me, but I see more. I see more here. I see more potential. I see more this. I see more that. I feel like I can get past this, or I feel like I'm not going to listen to what other people say because they believe this, because they wouldn't do it the way that I would do it, or they wouldn't handle it the way that I would. So they'll get a different result. It's that kind of thing. So it does take a big amount of confidence to be like unrooted for as long as I was. where I was just like, I'm gonna just go for it, balls to the walls, and just like see what the fuck happens, basically, because I don't give a fuck. And I did that activistically, I did that romantically with a certain somebody, um, too. And I don't have any regrets about it. But I think that it's in some ways when you're so ungrounded or you're like so activistic or you're so like focused on the goal or you have like this extreme focus that was required to get it done, it does make it harder for other people to connect. And I think for me, it was definitely like something where I feel like my avoidance, like the aspect of myself that is very avoidant, used that as a way to create distance because the weight wasn't really doing it anymore. And so I think there was an in between too for that, where it's like I need distance still, but the weight isn't doing it because I'm not big enough now. And that was kind of like at the start of 2025 and things just became really sharp. Um, Particularly with my crush, and there's just a lot of shit that went down at that time between me and him. A lot of games, it was very cutthroat, but and that was hard too because it obviously avoidance is also romantic, you know. So it's not just other people, it's also romantic. It's not just romantic. Like I remember this I watched this Instagram live and or not Instagram live, but it was like this post on Instagram and they were talking about how um like attachment styles are just corny and they don't matter and people are just they're just kind of using it in like this pop psychology way, where it doesn't really have any effect or it doesn't mean anything or whatever. And I had to comment because I was like, it's not just romantic and it's not. And she was just like, it's all fake, anyways. This is fake, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't think so, you know? Because she was just like critiquing like love languages and things like that. And I think a lot of people, they get very like, especially people in their 20s, they get very fixated on rules and on these kind of things. And I was certainly that way when I was in my 20s. I very much was like, this is the rule, this is how it works, this is the way the system is. But then you can also go into, well, none of the system works and this is all fake. And it's like, it's really easy to do that. And you can't really do that because the truth is usually in between. There's usually like some truth to it, but it's also not like rigorous. For example, Mr. Jordy is avoidant. I'm not, he is anxious, sorry. He has an anxious attachment style. So what does that mean? That typically means that somebody's more clingy. It means that they want you in contact all the time or they need to be constantly reassured, right? And I'm avoidant, but I'm a fearful avoidant, or I was anyways, which means that you want closeness, you crave intimacy, but you fear it at the same time. And so it's like it comes across a certain way, but it's not like this rigorous rule. So for example, is an anxiously attached person always blowing up your phone? No. Sometimes they won't message you at all because they're nervous that they're bugging you and they don't want to bother you or they don't want to feel like they don't want to be rejected by you or they can't stand that pause after a message where there's not a response. So then they don't message at all, you see? So it can actually look like the opposite. So I think that there's just a lot of people who don't look at the reality of the situation. They'll look at things very surface level, but then also people will ignore the material reality too. And that's typically where I am. I sometimes ignore the material reality of situations because I don't view things as concrete as I view things, especially after this whole like weight loss and everything. And, I believed it was impossible forever. So it's like seeing that that was so fake and not real. It's like, of course, I'm going to question everything. I'm going to be like, I'm going to try. And I think this specific time and place and everything and the internet and all this stuff and this dance that I've done romantically, but also even just interpersonally in general, it's been so healing for me. And I don't know if I could have done it without this, you know? Like me and my crush, we developed a way of communicating secretly. And I don't think I could have opened up to him about certain things if we didn't have that system. And I think a lot of people would judge it, but it's kind of like, I don't know if it matters. What matters is that it works. What matters is that it happens. It's like, I think for the first time in a long time, I feel stable about him. And I don't even want to say in a long time. I don't know if I ever did. Like, I was scared, and I don't feel scared at all. I feel very calm about him in a way that I didn't think I could. I didn't think I was capable of. And so, all that to say, I think what hit me was just I was listening to this song by Gracie Abrams, which is the lyrics for this stream title. And the lyrics are so cutting and so sad and so guttural, but I relate to them so deeply, especially from when I was in my 20s, where it's like you're struggling to date or you're struggling to make it work, and you can't for the life of you make it work. It's like, and then you're just like, I'm broken or I can't make this happen. And some of the lines, like I was brought to tears listening to this, something real deep. And I think it's because I've been rooted again. So it's like I feel my body, and my body has all these feelings from years ago. It's so weird. I would never suggest like body separation. I think it's awful because then that means you have to reintegrate, which is what I'm currently having to do on like a nervous system level. So it's like I get nervous about certain things. Um, and it's funny because like I would have these moments throughout the years where my body would be like communicating with me or trying to communicate with me. And especially with my crush, it would be trying, and I'd get paranoid. And I used to be like, oh my gosh, I have to shut down that paranoia. Like, I can't ever deal with this. And now, if I ever get paranoid now, I'm like thankful for it because it's a sign that my body is reintegrating, and it brings that sort of edge that I need and that sort of confidence and that sort of grounded quality. There's something grounding about being in your body and being physical and all that stuff. And I think it really helps me relate to him more because he's so that way. and I have so much more empathy for him. And I understand, hello, bot. I understand his perspective so much more. I did. It's a new era. And I like understanding his perspective in a deep way. And if he happens to watch this, I just want him to know that I'm here. I'm stable. I'm not Gracie Abrams, crazy 20 Alex anymore, 20s Alex. I never thought I would get there. And I think if anybody relates to that feeling of being totally nuts in your 20s or totally like unstable or like I can't make a relationship work or I can't do this or I can't do that, like I got there. I did it. I don't know. It's like I'm fine now. And I think that was also what made me cry when I heard the song because it showed me how much I've changed, particularly inside. And that is wild. It's a lot of growth. And obviously I've changed on the outside too, but again, I'm not a very material person, so I don't care that much about that. A lot of other people do, though. And I do need to talk about that a little bit because I don't know. The thin privilege is weird for sure because I'm getting to the point now where there's a bit of a people want to humble me a little bit. So it's coming across as that salt. But that's fine. I don't give a fuck about that. So but that's the thing about me too. I don't care about like I really don't care what other people think. It's like I think when I was trying to be quiet on here, I think it was more so like I worried about the activism, you see? But that's kind of imbalanced because I'm like, I want this to be seen and I want this and that. And it's like, yeah, but I deserve a life too. It's like I deserve to have my dreams and goals and I deserve to talk about myself too. You know, it's like it's that kind of thing because there's like a balancing act or like there has to be more of a balance. And again, I think it has confused my crush quite a bit. So he's just not that way. But I'll always tell y'all on here because I'm cringy and gay, but I do think he's my twin flame. So it's like we're kind of opposite. We're opposite but the same. So it's like as I've been so immaterial, he's been so material. And so like locked in the material world and having a hard time, in my opinion, seeing what's possible beyond the moment, beyond this time. Whereas I'm always like looking ahead and I can always see potential. But how are you doing, Bot? I want to ask you. I haven't talked to you in a minute. Would you still watch this channel, Bot, if I posted more? Or am I just busted now? Busted and forgotten. Never to be watched again. Oh, has it? I'm glad to hear that. So many people are struggling now. The horse year is so you reap what you sow. And I'm starting to fear for some people because we're kind of getting out of that phase where like it's just that stress test. Like there was a huge stress test in April in general. And I think it was kind of this thing where the horse year starts and there's so much friction, especially this time. And the horse year started in February, by the way. So it's like there's all this friction and it like peaked and it hit the peak right on like May 4th. So it was building and building and building all April, and then it just like it like snapped after that. And um again, there was a lot of like testing from my crush. He's testing me, he's testing me, he's testing me. He did that a lot in December too. And that irritated me a lot in December, by the way. Uh, it did. And then he was doing it a lot in April too. But I kind of understand it better in April because it's like I finally got it. It's like, Alex, you're not very committal. You're being so loose with everything you say to him in this secret communication. It's like he's not going to be able to like find comfort in that. So then he's going to keep testing and doing this and da 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 because that's where he can get comfort, you know? So it's been interesting, but it's kind of like understanding masculine feminine dynamics too, because you have to like, I think a lot of women or feminine or whatever you want to call it, I don't really give a shit about that stuff. They don't understand that with the masculine person, you have to meet them at like it's kind of like a different emotional plane. So it's like a lot of women and girls will be like, men don't have any feelings or men just never share their feelings. And it's like, it's not necessarily that they don't have feelings. It's that they feel in a different way. So like for me, Mr. Torrity has more, his feeling is more of a feeling of loyalty or a feeling of sentimentality, a feeling of consistency. So it's rather than like a more girly pop way, which is like a feeling of the moment or like a gushing of emotion or like verbalization or saying things, you know? And the way that me and him have communicated, it's worked because he's not expected to respond verbally. So it's kind of like it gives me the space to express my feelings to him. And then he doesn't have to think of something to say because he doesn't always have anything to say, but he just wants me to keep talking. And I think that that's the thing about like what I've learned with avoidance too, is like we often feel like nobody's interested, nobody cares about what I have to say, I'm not worth it, or if I don't get a response immediately or whatever, or if like I do something or I show something and I don't get the response that I like, then I have to close off because it means he hates me or something. And it's like, whoa, you know, like chill the fuck out. Like sometimes guys just don't have anything to say, but they're glad that you said it. You know, it's like they want to listen. And it's like, it's okay, you know, because there's this super like resentful quality going around, which I understand it because I talked about it on my TikTok, but there is this like hostile feminine influence. Hello, Bubble. There is this hostile feminine influence. And then with a lot of the masculine, there's like a complete inaction. And so that stresses people out that are feminine. Like when the masculine polarity doesn't act or doesn't do anything or gets stagnant, it's really scary. So it's been very stressful. But I told everybody on my TikTok, I was like, you guys need to do you need to do the attachment style work this autumn. Like I said it last autumn. I was like, you need to do it now because the spring is going to be crazy. And it has been. It's been totally nuts for dating. I knew it would be. And I think what a lot of the girlies don't get is that the masculine are watching ever vigilantly. And so how you're acting, how you've acted throughout these months, it's too late now. And people hate it when I say that too, because whenever you talk about like astrology, I don't know why I say astrology, but whenever you talk about astrology or, you know, zodiac or anything, everybody wants everything to be loose and easy and flowy. And it's not really like that. That's too feminine. It's like we need to be balanced when you talk about astrology, which that's also what pisses me off about a lot of people that talk about it. It's like, no, there are hard lines sometimes. Whatever you did in the snake year, you're locked in. Your momentums are locked in. You are stuck. And people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, but I can make a change and I'm the exception. You're not. You're not going to be able to make a change. Things are moving too fast. Snake year was last year. It's 2025. Horse year is 2026. But the horse is fast. You can't change momentum when it's fast. If you're running, you can only turn a little bit. You can't, like if you're a snake on the ground, you can go like this. You see the difference? Snakes can turn their head. You can do a complete 180 in the year of the snake. So it was a very important year, which again, for me specifically, and I would say Mr. Doherty too, there was like a lot of attachment style activation. You know, it's the year he got me hooked. I got hooked, which is not easy to do, for the record, Mr. Doherty. So you better appreciate it, because I don't even know if I've ever been as hooked as I am with you. I really don't. Like, I mean that. But regardless, it's like, you know, things changed, right? There was a lot of financial consideration in 2025. There were certain moral questions in 2025 because of Saturn and Pisces. Like, there was a lot of stuff, and you have to, like, you know, the economy was bad. It wasn't as bad as 2024, but it was bad, where it's like it's stagnant, or it's difficult still, you know, because in a snake year there isn't a lot of material shift. Now in the horse year there's a lot of material shift, but we're just getting into it. So I do think the economy will be a lot better, especially by next year. So especially going into February or whatever of next year, it'll be totally different. But you'll see a lot of material shift in the autumn, especially this year. But this spring, it's kind of like there's a huge separation. So it's like, did you do well in the snake year or did you flop? You're about to find, actually, you would know by now. With this Taurus season, you would know. So what does that mean? It means wherever you succeeded, you succeeded. For example, Mr. Doherty, you succeeded in hooking me. I'm hooked. I'm committed. I'm telling you now. I don't have a doubt. I succeeded in getting over my fucking attachment style bullshit. I succeeded in my spiritual journey. I think I succeeded a lot, but I worked very hard last year and I was extremely deliberate. So there are some things, like things that I flopped with Mr. Doherty. He's like, you flopped, and he doesn't forget. So it's like, ooh, it's like ding, 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 you know? So I get like all the tests and stuff. But yeah, but I passed them. I'm passing my driver's license test. No, I'm just kidding. I'm passing them. I am. So I mean, hey. But yeah, it's just wild because financially it's like it's a little bit better. Like I think I'm definitely transitioning to be able to do just the activism. Like it's a slow launch. So it's like I do gig work. You know, I do like a gig economy job, which yes, that does mean that Trump's gas prices are fucking me in the ass, which I'm really pissed about and I was very mad. But that's a whole other topic that I don't want to get into. But I think it's a part of that friction. I think those gas prices are like that friction, you know, that I was talking about. It kind of stresses people out and it makes people pissed off, basically, which it's like a stress test. So what you have is like, particularly in the beginning of May, that was the peak. So as we're getting towards May, so like April comes in, there's this huge test, right? There's like a massive Aries stellium. So there's so much fighting and so much anger and all these things. And I was going through my health journey still, and I was doing a vanity journey, and I was getting deep into my cut, and I was so stressed by that. And I was getting so exhausted in that and so irritable. And then Mr. Doherty's testing me and testing me and testing me. And because I took like a breather in February, but I didn't even take a breather, Mr. Doherty. I talked about you constantly on my main channel. So But either way, so he was pissed. So I got tested. And I was like, I'm just going to pass the fucking test. Like, I don't care. I'm doing it, period. Like, I want him, but daddy, I love him, period. We're doing it. We're putting up with it. You know, there's a lot of flops I did last year. I have to put up with this. So I did. I grinned and bared it. And I did a lot of activistic stuff in April. Like, it was just very hard. Like, if I hadn't done a lot of work, I would have fucking collapsed in April. Like, absolutely. It was very stressful. And then the gas prices, and it's like, oh my God. And I was so mad at Trump all throughout April, just so pissed, so fucking mad. And then I'm mad at everybody politically too, because everybody's just so dumb. It's like so stupid that it's literally like beneath contempt. Like all the coverage of the war and everything was so horrible. And I'm just like stewing and so frustrated. And then there's all these astrologers, and they're like, it's going to be COVID 2.0, and we have our next lockdowns this year, and blah, 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 and hantavirus. And, you know, they're all stupid. Do not listen to these idiotic astrologers. But that was pissing me off too. It's like, oh my God. Like, shut the fuck up, you stupid biatches. That's what I wanted to say, because it's like, y'all don't know. And then there were like, some of them, they were like, I liked lockdown. It was amazing. And it's like, if you liked that, you're disgusting. Like, I'm just going to say that. You're disgusting. And you are way too feminine, like, honestly. And they don't acknowledge that you can be too feminine. But like, if you are so feminine that you like governmental oppression, you like people being locked in their house, well, there's a difference between not minding it and liking it, you know, or wanting it to come back. Like, if you just want to be a recluse, you can be one. It's the feminine, I need everybody else to be one with me. That's psychotic, you know? That's nuts. And they're like wanting it to happen. It's not going to. But I was just seeing all the astrologers. They're like, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's this Aries stellium, and back in 2020 there was a Capricorn stellium. And I'm like, yes. And they're two completely fucking different signs. They are literally almost the exact opposite. It basically means that all aspects of lockdown are gone this year. It's the total opposite. Aries is like literally the new frontier. It's getting out, it's adventuring, it's super extroverted. Aries is a very extroverted sign. Capricorn is all about control, staying home, right? It's all that stuff. It's government, it's rules. And to a certain extent, it's oppression by the elite. That's also what Capricorn represents, which people don't talk about that. It's not always bad, but with Pluto there and everything that was going on in 2020, it was very bad astrologically. And everybody knew that. I knew that years before 2020 happened. Every astrologer that wasn't totally dumb knew that something big was coming in 2020. But anyways, this time, no. What you have with all this Aries is you have war. And you have fighting, and you have like romantic attraction, and there's also so much masculine energy. So what you have going on right now, this is what people don't understand. So let me break it down for you. Throughout Pluto and Capricorn, 2008 to 2024, that's a very long period of time. The masculine and men were basically oppressed during that time. And if you say that, I already hear a bunch of feminists saying, no, 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 no. Shut the fuck up. Go bitch somewhere else. We're talking in reality. We're not talking in your feminist. It's not even feminism. We're not talking about your feminist bullshit. We're talking about reality. So I'm not saying that those years were good for women. They weren't. They certainly weren't, because when something's shitty for men, guess what? It's also shitty for women, and vice versa. They're connected. Duh. So of course it was horrible for women too. It was a horrible time. It was horrible. But regardless, certain aspects of career, men weren't They were put down in the corporate world. They were passed over, right? You can't be masculine. You can't do anything during those years. It was very brutal. The left just took a huge I fucking hate men approach, especially from 2010 to 2020. It was particularly bad during those years. Now we're in 2026 now. So things have changed. And what you have right now is the power structure has completely reversed. So where there was a time where the feminine was in charge, basically, which was that 10-year period, now it's flipped and the masculine is back in charge. So what you have is you have especially this specific demographic, which is kind of like late Gen X, early Gen Y. So like elder millennial men, late Gen X men. They are in control. So that's kind of like your Elon Musk types. Okay, that's who's in control right now. So with this Pluto and Aquarius, they took power. They took power over the institutions, the kind of like, I don't know, fourth wave feminists again. It's not really feminist. I don't think they support women either. I don't know what they support, but whatever that was, the woke thing, SJW, whatever you want to call it. Okay. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know what that was. I don't think it really fits into any political position, to be honest. It's just like a weird phenomenon that happened at that time, but it's done. And so what you have is that died. And then now all of a sudden, all these men have power again. And then in the cultural sense, what you have is you have all that Aries. So Aries represents young men, especially. So Gen Z men, especially, are taking prominence in culture, which is probably one of the first times I've ever seen women take a back seat to cultural matters, which is very weird, but that is the way it is. So you have young men controlling the culture, and then you have, middle-aged men controlling the government institutions and stuff. So what you have this year especially is a lot of women freaking out because of that, and they don't want to accept that. And to me, it's like, I understand the fear. I do. But it is the reality. It's where we're at. So what I tried to tell a lot of girly pops, especially last year, was like, you need to be careful about your relationship to the masculine. Like if you have daddy issues, if you have these problems, like you need to be careful because they're going to take it out on you. They will. Why? Because these two groups of men, particularly Gen Z and that Gen X/Y thing, have been so oppressed the past 15 years in different ways, socially, financially, etc. Just a lot of different ways, that now that they have power now, it's like you don't know how that's going to go. Are they going to get revenge? Are they going to be nice to you? How are they going to act? And this is just beginning. This is just a moment in time and then we'll go back to the way it was in 2019. No, that's over. It's done. So you need to think like this is where you're at. So do you want to be like that weird version of feminist that hates men? Then you're going to deal with these men that have all these experiences with that, and they're going to take it out on you. They'll project it on you. They'll take it out on you. Or do you want to be a good one? Now, what is a good one? A good one is just you act like a human being. You have a soul. It's like there's an opportunity too with that because there can be a lot of healing too. And you have to like work with it. Whenever we talk astrology, whenever we talk about the moment, it's not about there being hopelessness. There's not hopelessness. It's about understanding the moment and what you do with it. So if these men are in power, how does that change the way you view the situation? Well, what if I wasn't an enemy of them? What if I was on their side? Or what if I could have a mutually beneficial connection. We'll see how different that would be. This could be one of the best times of your life. Because the thing about it, and I think this is true of any group that has been oppressed in one way or another, they don't necessarily want to get revenge all the time. Some do, though. So I do think you have to watch out a little bit, because there is a growing group of young men that are kind of lashing out too. But it's usually not the majority. And, you know, now all of the freaking red pill talking points, they're all old and tired. And they're also full of shit. So it's like, okay, you know, it's like things have changed. We don't need to hear a dead horse be beat 20,000 times, but that's what they're doing. You know, it's like, you have power again. What are you going to do with it? And that's basically what's happening. So that's the moment we're in. And this particular moment, this Jupiter in Cancer, it's that last time when this feminine energy has some kind of a power. So the whole, like, I call it girlfriend energy. It's like, what are you talking about? What about this? Well, what about that? Da, 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 da. Like, think of the way that people talk about Trump right now. And I mean, even his supporters. And I don't care. I'm not talking male, female. Like, there's a lot of guys that have that girlfriend energy too. You know, it's like you get a text and, well, what are you saying? That type of energy. That's the Jupiter in Cancer is very strong. And you see even like supposedly masculine leaders of like European countries acting that way with Trump and stuff. They're acting like they're his girlfriend. And I'm like, what the fuck is this girlfriend energy? Like, it's driving me nuts, you know? And then, of course, I'm crazy too, because I'm super feminine. So it's like, it's not really grounding for me, you know? So it's like, I'm super sensitive too. I'm not any better. I'm never talking from like a place of like moral authority. I'm just, whenever I talk about astrology and stuff, it's like, I'm talking from this is what's correct. This isn't what I want it to be or what I wish it was. This is what it is. Do you think I wanted to tell everybody when I used to do astrology back in 2021, well, when is it going to get better? When is this going to start getting easier? No. I was like, 2025, October. Nobody wanted to hear that. It's not like I wanted it to be an oppressive time of economic hopelessness and darkness. I didn't want that. But I told you what it was, you know? So when I say this, I'm not like, I would say to a certain extent, at least, I am a feminist. You know, I believe in equal rights. I guess I'm more egalitarian, I guess you could say. I believe you have choices, but I also do believe that there are differences and that it's okay that there are differences, you know, and that's fine. But I'm not into red pill, and I'm going to keep calling it feminist, because they don't really help. They're not really representing women. I don't know what they're doing. It's like they're just taking out their daddy issues on everybody, you know? I don't think that's feminism. You know, I just don't. I think feminism is kind of like you're advocating for the protection, rights, and fair treatment of especially women and children. That's basically what it is. You might buy it if you take some power, but you have to do something. I mean, you have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're in an institution or something, yeah, I think your perspective would do well. I think you'd probably get along with people that are in power. I think I would get along, because a lot of that demographic of Gen X, you know, younger Gen X men, older Gen Y men, they like me because I'm very feminine, but I'm still like somewhat logical or a critical thinker, or, you know, I'm not like, and then they like love gay. I don't know why. That demographic, they like, like I've seen there's just such an overblowing of gay energy at this time. I don't know what the hell is going on, but they love gay. I don't know. They just do. Some don't, but most do. So that's why you see like this weird push of like all this gay stuff all the time because they're like super down with it. So I don't think that that's that big of a deal or there's anything really to fear with that. But because that demographic of men is not like super anti, you know. Some Gen Z men are though. So, but that's more of a cultural thing rather than like an institutional thing, which again, people don't understand the difference. But there is a difference. But I think it's like all this to say, with Jupiter in Cancer, the focus is on the feminine. So if you're a feminine person, you have had the pressure on you. You've had eyes on you, scrutiny on you. Everything you've done is being watched, completely watched. But at that same token, you've been the star of the show. So how did you do? Because now the masculine is going to respond in the year of the horse. The masculine is going to respond when Jupiter goes into Leo. And that could be very negative and it could be very positive. It depends. I just know for me, I did the best I could. And I know that if I was this busted bitch, I think things could be going very badly between me and Mr. Jordy, but I'm not anymore. And I'm just grateful of that because it's about healing, being healed, healing yourself. You know, it's like, it's not about like constantly being at odds with men. It's about healing your own wounds. And of course, you don't put up with crap. I don't put up with shit from men. I don't. I never have. And I have had my unfair moments where because I wasn't interested in somebody, they canceled me. They destroyed my reputation. I've had the unfair expectation of a guy expecting me to handle his feelings when I was way younger than him. You know, I'm grateful that I haven't experienced any SA or anything like that, but I have dealt with guys hating my guts because of rejection. And that's not fair. It isn't fair. And it's like, trust me, I know. You know, I think a lot of guys think that being feminine is just so amazing all the time, and it's not. There's a lot of work in it. It's hard. You have to be nurturing. You have to like actually listen to other people. Like you have to listen to what's going on. You have to have a sort of vigilance in the moment. You always have to look at what's ahead because you have to plan because you can't be as spontaneous. And whether that's from a physical perspective, like being a literal woman, or even for me, an emotional or social perspective, I have to be careful of that because emotionally and socially, I'm very vulnerable. So I also have to think about that. And so it's like, I think being feminine is a beautiful thing. I think it's beautiful, but it is vulnerable. And you have to protect yourself too, but you can't be like so black and white. And that's what's hard. And it's the same thing with masculinity, which I'm sure I'll be talking more about the masculine as the year goes on because they're going to be in the spotlight. It will be totally different. But during this time, it's been on the feminine, which a lot of feminine types say, like, I want it to be about me. I want the attention. It should be, I'm the star of the show, not just him. But then it happens and they don't like it. Well, a lot of women are more miserable than ever right now because all the attention is on them and they don't like it. So it's like, if you don't like it, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, I've dealt with it. I don't love the scrutiny. I don't. It's hard. You know, I carry it with me. And it's not just about him, it's also about my activism and it's about how society views me. And, you know, the girls have been fighting. There's not consensus at this time. So there's a lot of girls that agree with one side of an issue. There's a lot of girls that agree with the other side of the issue. It's hard. So there's a lot of fighting. And I don't always know where I shake out or where I'm at because I think for myself, you know. June 30th, but June 30th is the day. But we're so close now that it's really blending, to be honest. It's like more of a blend. Um, but my point is like, you have to just, I hope that you use this time wisely. I hope you showed the good, the bad, the ugly. I hope you did. I showed it to Mr. Doherty. I did. I've shown him some of the funkiest parts of myself, but also some of the best. And I changed. I really did. And I know I did. I can tell today because I heard that damn Gracie Abrams song, you know? So I'm different. I'm stable. And I never thought I would be. I never thought I would. And it's not necessarily like a stability, like a stoicism. I'm not stoic. That will never happen. But stability as a feminine person, it's about being decisive or being sure about how you feel about somebody in general, being sure about if you're in something or out of it, whether it's a career or it's a relationship or whatever. It could be anything. And for me, like that was hard for me to kind of pin that down. And I struggled a lot in February. And I struggled a lot in January, especially. So at this point, I'm not really struggling. I feel grounded. I feel good for the most part. And I feel committed. I feel supportive. I feel connected to Mr. Doherty. Even though I don't always understand everything he's doing, I'm not scared he's going to hurt me like I was last year. I was scared of that, you know? It's hard. It's hard to be vulnerable. And I think vulnerability is so fascinating within the feminine, but it's also very difficult. And it does require protection, and you need help. And that's okay. And a lot of feminine types, like I said, there's that hostile feminine. So they're very loud right now. They're very, very loud. They're really freaking out. And it's because they don't have as much power as they did 5 years ago. That's what it is. And I don't think it means they're powerless. I don't believe that. But it has changed. And, you know, there was a lot of elections where like men just didn't vote. Well, now they're voting. So they're taking their power back. It's not going to last that way forever. You know what I mean? Like it was a moment in time. And I don't know why the collective of masculinity had to go through that oppression. I don't know what the purpose of that was, but all I can say is on my end, being so feminine, it was still hard for me because I didn't have any masculine guidance during those years. And the absence of it in corporations, in political conversations, in my personal life, it was very hard. And I think it was hard for a lot of women too. And I think um, what I wish a lot of masculine types would understand is that your absence also hurts bad too. It's like it, and I think they don't get that. They're just like, they feel like, well, I'm the only one that cares because they think a lot of women just don't care about them. And to be fair, like a lot of women say it constantly. They're like, I don't care about men and I don't need a man and whatever. But look at the women that aren't saying that, you know? There's a lot that don't. And the absence of that kind of guidance or protection or security, it's hard too. And like I said, men and women are connected. So whatever happens to one is still going to happen to the other. It's the same thing if there's oppression of women, it will affect men too. It doesn't, you can't separate it. That's a lie. That's a bullshit lie. That's like I don't know. It's a false construct. And I don't know who taught us that we should be competitive with each other. I don't know why that went so far. I don't understand it because it's not useful. If you don't want to date as a woman, just state you don't want to date. Just be honest and be sure in that decision. That's what I mean by being stable, is you're stable in your decision. That's what a lot of women can't do very well because they think it means, well, I have to be stoic, or you don't like that I'm emotional. That's not what it is. It's not about your emotions, it's about your decisions. They want to know that you're decisive. So if you don't want to date, say you don't want to date and don't change your mind. If you don't want kids, say you don't want kids and don't change your mind. If you do want kids, say you want it. If you do want to get married, say you want it. That's what they need. And that's you got to do it yourself, babe, because you're going to drive yourself nuts. And I was driving myself nuts last year with my indecision about Mr. Doherty. I was also driving myself nuts. But it's an important decision, and I don't think it has to be rushed, but it has to be made. And once it's made, you need to stick to it, you know? And you need to let them know that you're like in it. And that's hard to do. And that's what I see a lot of struggling with. But like I said, unfortunately, you can draw in very negative experiences on a spiritual level if you're kind of at that lower vibration, which I know that sounds very pretentious, but it's true. Yeah, not wishy-washy. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of women will struggle this year. I think it's going to get worse. But a lot of women will thrive too. So it really depends on what you did. And there was such a focus, or in the year of the snake, there is a huge emphasis on the feminine. And so it was kind of on us, but with this year, it's not as much. It's kind of like whatever decision we made it. And you just got to stick to it and hope you did the right thing. And this is where the masculine starts to take action. It's very soon. So by July. So with that, you guys, I'm going to go. I haven't done this in a long time, but that helped me to kind of get that out there, because that was something that was brewing for a long time where I was really irritated. But I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.